The wetlands that protect southeast Louisiana are disappearing at a staggering rate. Continued wetland loss in combination with relative sea level rise and increased hurricane activity means the future of southeast Louisiana's diverse community of abundant natural and cultural resources is in peril. It is estimated that before foresting and farming, bottomland hardwood forests covered 60,000 miles of the Mississippi Valley and Gulf Coast. Today, less than 17% remain, and examples of old-growth bottomland forests are very rare.
An urban forest like this has got to be preserved and protected and nurtured because it plays such an important role just for us ecologically and also for our own protection. All of us here in South Louisiana know about the multiple lines of defense that we need to protect our lives and property from the ravages of hurricanes.
Recognizing the writing on the wall if proactive measures weren't taken, one such group of caring people got together in 2001 and formed Woodlands Conservancy as a nonprofit land trust organization to preserve and restore remaining forested wetlands and other ecologically or historically significant lands in Louisiana. That initial group of 6 people has since been joined by over 70 additional like-minded people passionately dedicated to ensuring that future generations will enjoy the same natural treasures in Louisiana that we enjoy today. The initial geographical focus of Woodlands Conservancy has been the sparsely developed 10,000-acre peninsula formed fairly equally by Orleans and Plaquemines parishes. The forested wetlands within the peninsula are considered to likely be the largest forested landmass between open water and the city of New Orleans within the next 30 years. Since that time, over a dozen resolutions, ordinances, or proclamations have been passed by governmental entities and other supporting organizations. Thanks to support from Our Lady of Holy Cross University, Woodlands Conservancy established offices within the administration building and quickly gained partners with the History Department, the LSU T. Harry Williams Center, and the Library of Congress to record the oral histories of veterans stationed at the Marine Base Naval Ammunition Depot, New Orleans. The grand opening of Woodlands Trail occurred on June 4, 2005, National Trails Day, with hikes being led by Richard DeMay of Barataria Terrebonne National Estuary Program and David Muth of Orleans Audubon Society. David successfully called in birds for visitors to see some of the 163 species of birds that rely on the habitat at the Woodlands Preserve. Hurricane Katrina made landfall on August 29, 2005, changing the lush canopy of forest to a scene reminiscent of a child's game of pickup sticks. Over 84 years of tree growth were lost in one day, opening up the understory where non-native invasive species took hold. Shortly afterward, the heroes arrived. Volunteers from across the nation came to help clean up hurricane debris and reclaim the trail system. The hard work of so many volunteers, universities, government agencies, foundations, and corporations to preserve and restore this critical land was recognized. On World Wetlands Day, Mignon Faget announced her design of the Palmetto jewelry, exclusively sold by and for the benefit of Woodlands Conservancy. Shortly afterwards, the Woodlands Preserve property was placed on the Natural Areas Registry by the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Within a short period of time, Woodlands Conservancy received 3 awards, including the Conservation Organization of the Year Award from the Louisiana Wildlife Federation, the Coastal Stewardship Award from the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana, and the Coastal America Partnership Award from the Executive Office of the United States. In 2007, more superheroes arrived. Dr. Sean Anderson, California State University, Channel Islands, arrived with 20 students to begin a data-based, systematic approach for the assessment and removal of non-native invasive vegetation, more specifically, Chinese tallow, China berry, and Chinese privet. The following year, Dr. Anderson and his students returned to Woodlands, along with his partners in crime, or more accurately, partners for good. The assessment team was joined by Dr. John Lambrinos, Oregon State University Department of Horticulture, and Dr. Tom Huggins, director of the herbarium at UCLA, with a mission to develop a comprehensive floristic description of the properties managed by Woodlands Conservancy. This partnership continues with our West Coast superheroes returning annually for the past 12 years to conduct vegetation assessments to aid in efforts to obtain funding and evaluate restoration efforts. In addition to directly helping Woodlands Conservancy, the research has been shared at a variety of conferences and included in the Cambridge Press book entitled Katrina and the Lessons of Disaster Relief. Recognizing the need for long-term sustainability, Woodlands Conservancy established an endowment fund at the Greater New Orleans Foundation in 2012. Your contributions made it possible for Woodlands Conservancy to receive matching funds from the Richard West Freeman Foundation. Just as we work to preserve critical lands for future generations, we work to ensure sustainable streams of income to enhance habitat on these lands in perpetuity. In 2012, another milestone forward occurred when Woodlands Conservancy formed a partnership with Tulane University's Center for Public Service in order to engage students in internship opportunities on Woodlands Conservancy's properties. We have had the pleasure of working with over 20 interns from Tulane University that have been engaged in a multitude of projects, including the Woodlands Conservancy Nature Guide, wildlife inventories, social media campaigns, historical research, educational programs, and so much more. Just when we thought 2012 couldn't possibly get any better, it did. Thanks to the generosity of Lee and Nancy DuPont, Woodlands Conservancy was able to acquire 5 contiguous properties totaling 190 acres of forested wetlands in Lower Coast Algiers. The properties, now known as Delacroix Preserve, ensure that the birds and wildlife that are commonly seen and appreciated in this unique rural setting will have a home in perpetuity. Hundreds of millions of birds cross the Gulf of Mexico each year and travel along the Mississippi Flyway, with as many as 2.5 million stopping daily in Louisiana to feed and rest. Radar data provided by the National Wetlands Research Center shows the critical importance of this peninsula for resident and neotropical migratory birds. In 2013, the Woodlands Conservancy Bird Observatory took flight to further analyze the effects of restoration efforts on the resident and migratory birds. Working in partnership with the National Audubon Society, Baton Rouge Audubon Society, and Barataria Terrebonne National Estuary Program, bird banding stations are being operated at both Woodlands Trail and Delacroix Preserve. The process of bird banding requires a federally permitted bird bander to run the station utilizing a strict protocol. The permitted bander works with countless volunteers from the community who give up 6 to 8 hours each session to hone skills necessary to advance their expertise in working with birds. Each bird that is captured receives a small numbered band that is placed on its legs so that it can be tracked when recaptured. The information obtained from the bird banding is uploaded to a regional and national database that allows tracking of bird health, lifespan, habitat usage, migration patterns, reproductive behaviors, and so much more. To date, Woodlands Conservancy has captured a total of 1,481 birds and has recaptured 322. Recaptures provide information on bird species that are resident on the property and bird species that return to the site during migration. Bird surveys dating back to 2004 show that the Woodlands and Delacroix preserves provide habitat for at least 163 documented species of resident and migratory birds. Of those documented species, 9 are considered species of continental importance per Partners in Flight, and 18 are considered species of conservation concern per Louisiana's Comprehensive Wildlife Conservation Strategy, the Wildlife Action Plan. In 2013, the Seeds to Saplings program was initiated. The Seeds to Saplings environmental education program is designed for 4th grade students and is aligned with 4th grade benchmarks. It provides students with a series of formal lessons spread throughout the year that are focused on learning about their watershed, impacts to the environment from hurricanes, invasive species and human behavior, and what they can do at their age to make a difference in their community, how to grow their own native seedlings and plant seedlings in restoration areas. Over 1,000 students in Orleans and Plaquemines Parish have participated in the program thanks to funding from the Brown Foundation, Chevron Oronite, and Entergy. Funding from our members and donors, foundations, and governmental entities over the past 20 years have made so much possible. The Water Challenge Nonprofit Award was received from Propeller in 2018 to establish a nursery on the Woodlands Preserve property. Herbicide treatment of invasive vegetation has been able to be conducted on over 500 acres. In the past 8 years alone, 2,104 volunteers have provided 13,105 hours of service. Over 16,500 seedlings and trees have been planted to help restore and enhance the forest for the benefit of wildlife. Thanks to your support and the very generous support of Phillips 66, restroom facilities were constructed in the Woodlands Preserve parking area. When the pandemic struck our region, more and more people became aware of the value of bathing in the forest and its benefits for physical and mental well-being. Visitors to the Woodlands Preserve increased by 400%. Your support has made the past 20 years of progress for preserving and enhancing hundreds of acres of vital forested wetlands possible. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time, but we can't do it alone. We are counting on you to continue to be our partner in protecting lands for the enjoyment of current and future generations.